having these technical difficulties. I seem to have a decent signal, at least 3 bars. So maybe we'll be able to do it this time. I don't know. And once again, the sun is is, is messing with it. It's okay. It's okay. I wonder if I went and sit in that chair over there. I don't know. We're gonna make this work, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna figure out a way to make this work. It's always the times when things don't seem like they're working out and you just keep going and you just doggedly continue that good things seem to happen. That's not to say I haven't had some amazing streams where nothing went wrong, but hey, I just find that sometimes when things, you know, act like the forces that be, some of them are conspiring to keep us from streaming. That's when we have an amazing stream. So we're gonna try this one more time. I like this idea of this topic we got today. So I appreciate y'all coming back, the numbers coming back. Yeah. Seeing some old familiar faces coming through. I appreciate the love, appreciate the love. By the way, this is tea this morning. We're not doing coffee today, just having a tea. So let's jump into this again. Good to see you, Johan, by the way. It's been a minute. I was on the bus yesterday and I saw a kid in a stroller, and I think he was with like his grandmother, and she was like very vocal with the kid, which is cool. And she was speaking like Spanish to the kid. And this is why I thought of it, because like I just assumed they were speaking English, but she was, speaking Spanish to the kid. And I was like, oh, this is cool. This baby's gonna grow up learning Spanish and English. It's gonna be bilingual off the jump. And I was like, it's like, it just made me think about how powerful it is, something like that. How powerful that is for the rest of that child's life. Like, it's not going to do anything different. It's just going to grow up knowing 2 languages, and that's going to be a positive thing. They'll be able to communicate with way more people than me who only knows 1 language, simply because it was around people who spoke 2 languages growing up. And that made me realize, like, oh, when you're growing up, like as a baby, all you have is what's around you, and you don't have any ability to go out and learn anything new or take in anything new. You just take in what's given. You eat what people give you. You learn what they teach you. The beliefs that they tell you when you're a child. You hold on to those. Johan, thank you. Super Chat Squad, thank you, Johan. Said, stay blessed, Tim. I've never met you, but I approve everything you're doing. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the love. Thank you, Johan. Good to see you. So yeah, as a child, you are just a product of what's around you, and you really have no ability to go to do anything else. Like, you're a kid. Now, when we get into like school, the box kind of expands a little bit, right? And you go to school, and it's still, an indoctrination camp, and they tell you when to come and when to eat, and you got to ask to go to the bathroom, and they teach you what they want you to know, which is basically how to be a good employee, a good worker. But you kind of can, you have access to the library, you know what I mean? And you can read certain books. Of course, they got to be school approved books in the school library, but you can associate with like different people. You kind of pick your friends, but even in that, we kind of pick people who are like us, and we're the way we are because of like how we were molded by our parents and our environment. So the box expands a little bit, but we're still kind of in a box that we really didn't create, you know what I mean? And the same to junior high, high school. You might go off to college, and with like every layer, like you get the box expands, but you still, once again, typically we find ourselves gravitating towards the people that think like us. We might, meet people who go to the same church as us, people who are into the same things as us. So the box like expands, but we still kind of like stay in the same box, kind of. Hey, we got another super chat. Thank you. 133 official. I appreciate that. That's super chat. Super chat squad. That's love. Thank you. So early morning abundance. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate the twos. So we just kind of go through life doing this over and over and over again. It's kind of like the example of I was listening to Earl Nightingale because I couldn't sleep in the middle of the night. And it's like the example of the farmer who had like a pumpkin patch, and he was walking along and just happened to find like a bottle, like a big kind of glass bottle in the pumpkin patch. So he took a little bitty baby pumpkin and put it in the bottle, made sure he didn't rip the vine or nothing, and just kind of put it down. And then he like totally forgot about it. Fast forward to when the harvest came along, the farmer's walking along, and he comes across the bottle again. And he's like, oh snap, I forgot I put that little bitty pumpkin in the bottle. And this time when he picked the bottle up, the pumpkin had grown to fill the entire bottle. But that's like as far as the pumpkin could grow. It could only, like, it filled the bottle and then it was just stuck. So, he busted the bottle and he had a pumpkin in the shape of a bottle, which is pretty cool. But that's kind of like how we are with our boxes, with our bottles, if you will. It's like we've spent so much time kind of like just taking in what everyone around us and everyone we associate with says is like our limits. That's why it's a box, because there's like a limit. It's like, oh, people like us believe this. People like us do this. People like us like this. People like us don't like that. People like us don't like them. You know what I mean? And even as you progress through life, the boxes expand a little bit, but if we don't put in any work to kind of try to that's why people say think outside the box, right? I'm saying forget the box entirely. Because, unlike the pumpkin in the bottle that can't grow any further, once we become adults, we can forget about the box entirely. When you're a kid, you got to be around your parents. You got to be at home. When you're in school, you got to be at school. A lot of different things. But once you become an adult, and once you have the freedom to kind of like read whatever you want, once you have like a cell phone and no one else is monitoring it, and you can get on there and you can learn all the wisdom of the world is in the palm of your hand, there's no reason to stay inside of a box. Right? You know what I mean? Once we can go wherever we want, we can talk to whoever we want to talk to. We can take in any knowledge, any information we want to. We don't have to just like think outside the box. We can forget about the box entirely. You know what I mean? There doesn't need to be any limitation on us. But we just kind of naturally impose these limitations on ourselves. Or we keep these limitations on ourselves just because they've been there our whole life. If all the people around you think a certain way, and those are the people you hang out with, you just think that way. And a lot of times it never occurs to you to think any different. That's the crazy part. Like for most people, it never occurs to them to think any differently. It never occurs to them to believe any differently. And it also limits us in what we think we can do. You know what I mean? Like if we think that like people like us or people in our circle or our gender or our economic level or our education level can only do certain things because the people we're around have only done certain things, then we're only going to get to a certain level. And a lot of times, like I said, we don't say it to ourselves. Oh, I think I can only do this because no one around me has done anything else. We don't say it consciously. It's like subconscious. And the subconscious mind is like very powerful. And it just takes in whatever is given and it kicks that right back out to you. So whenever you're looking for the subconscious mind for like an answer, or like we're trying to figure something else out in life, if all we've ever taken in and given it is the limiting beliefs of the box around us or the people around us, that's all it's going to give us back. You know what I mean? Like sometimes in life, we're the thing holding us back. Sometimes we're like, why can't I figure out an answer to this problem? Why can't I figure out how to do this? It's because you haven't given your subconscious mind or your mind anything outside of like the normal stuff that everybody else is thinking to work with. I like the quote, if we knew better, we'd do better. A lot of times we're where we're at in life simply because like we haven't brought anything new in. You know what I mean? We're stuck in this box. Yeah, it's kind of like a computer. Like if you don't put no new programs on the computer, all you're going to be able to do is what's on the computer, right? If we don't put any new programs in our mind, no new downloads, nothing fresh, something outside of just the regular stuff, all we're going to get is like the regular stuff. And then we're just spinning our wheels, and that's why like we look at other people and sometimes, oh, that person got lucky or this person's that. It's like, no. That person was out here like actively, there's no boxes, there's no limitation on this person. They're not trying to think outside the box. Forget the box. They're just thinking, they're just doing. There's no ideal of like, oh, a person like me can't do that. It's just like if I see something I want to do, I'm gonna try, I'm gonna figure it out. So often in life we don't do because we're scared of what like the people around us are gonna say. You know what I mean? Like it's we have like that's the thing. Like when you're in school, especially like high school, there were so many things we wanted to do. Girls we wanted to talk to, guys we wanted to date, like different stuff, different sports, just some stuff. So many things we wanted to do, and we didn't do them because our peer group didn't do that. That person wasn't cool enough. A lot of times people, I know for me, a lot of times I knew there was girls who was checking for me, but I wasn't cool enough. They couldn't holler at me, you know what I mean? Because their friends would have picked on them. And like, we laugh about it in high school, but we do it in real life. We do it in real life, like outside of high school. So many of the decisions we make in our lives are based on what the people around us whose validation we are seeking will say about us. Or we just naturally like, well, everybody, around me kind of drives this type of car. So when I get a car, I guess I'll get one. Everybody says that this is the neighborhood you need to live in if, you work here. So I want to live in that neighborhood too. Everybody says that this is a good city. So I guess I'll go. You know what I mean? Like we just base so much of what we do in life on what other people have told us or other people's opinions, and it's just like, no, break free. You don't have to be the pumpkin in the jar. You don't have to be the pumpkin in the jar. That should have been the title of the video. I should have been like, don't be the pumpkin in the jar. But it's just, we limit ourselves so much. And that's the part I don't like. You can do whatever you want in life. Once again, I don't care what anyone does. I don't care about anyone's, lifestyle. As long as it ain't bothering me or mine, I don't care. But I would love it if like everybody was living the lifestyle they genuinely wanted to live. I would love it if like everybody was going after their goals and dreams with like a vigor and a fervor that they're capable of doing. I would love it if just like there were no limitations outside of the ones we couldn't, stop. If there's outside forces limiting us, we try to fight back against those as much as possible. But sometimes, you can't, but like most of the time, it's us in like a free country. And like America, most of the time it is us. It is our belief in what we can or can't do. It's stuff that other people have told us, just like, and sometimes they didn't come out and say it, they just subconsciously. Sometimes just, the negativity people throw on us have made us feel like, oh, I could never do that. But it's like, well, why not? Why not? Alvin, thank you. Super Chat Squad, I appreciate the love. Alvin, thank you. Said, good morning, Tim. You appear to have a lot of energy. It must be that coffee. Oh, this is actually tea. Okay, this is tea, because I every day I cannot drink coffee. I'm so today we're drinking tea, so I'm proud of myself. Now, I didn't realize how much this tea was when I ordered it, and I said, I'm gonna go down there to the Safeway and I'm gonna get me some tea, and I'm not gonna buy it from this place anymore because it's way too expensive, but we drinking tea. But I appreciate you saying we have a lot of energy, because I didn't sleep well last night. So I wasn't sure where my energy level would be this morning, but I was thinking about this last night. I was listening to Earl Nightingale. Like I said, it was weird because I'd been thinking about it on the bus earlier, and I was just sitting and just, y'all know me, I've always been kind of a contrarian, and so I've always wanted to do outside the norm. But when you just sit back and watch, people dress like everybody around them. People talk like everybody around them. People do the same stuff everybody around them does. And a lot of times I'm just like, I wonder if this is really what these people want to be doing. And now I'm talking to myself too. I fall into this too. So I'm not saying I'm above all this. But I'm like, I try to forget about the boxes though. But I'm like, I wonder, is this really what we want to be doing? Or if you gave people a magic wand and you said you could be doing whatever you wanted to do, have whatever you want to have, live however you want to live, and no one would mind, and it would be okay, would a lot of people switch it up? And not just like the monetary thing. Because that's the thing too. A lot of people are always like, oh, if I had more money, I'd do more stuff. And that might be true. But there's a lot of people with a lot of money who conform too. There's a lot of people with a lot of money who are in boxes too. A lot of times I think wealthy people are in like even tighter boxes, because they definitely feel like, oh, I gotta be like all the other wealthy people around me. Some of them, not all of them. So if you take the money away, because I think a lot of people, even if you gave them more money, would still conform. They might conform at a pricier lifestyle, but I think they would conform. You know what I mean? So I don't not we're not talking the money. I'm just saying in general, if you was like your life could look any way you want it to, and no one would care, would people be still living the same life? And I think most people wouldn't. You know what I mean? I think most people would be living totally different lives, but they just feel like they can't. And once again, like not knowing how doesn't have to stop us either. That's a big one too. People are like, but how am I supposed to do that? Like figure it out. You know what I mean? I feel like that is something that is one of the drawbacks I think of the internet. Even though y'all know I'm all for social media, the internet. I don't demonize it like a lot of people do. It's weird that now that we have more access to information, and you think more people would be like, oh, I'll just hop on my phone or on my tablet, my laptop, and figure it out. We've gotten so used to like people telling us how to do things because it's so easy for people to get on the internet and talk, that a lot of times in the best time ever for research, it's almost like less people do it. You know what I mean? Like people will look into something, but basically a lot of times we just want someone to tell us exactly how to do it. But it's like, no, you have to like research, you have to dig deep. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like that. So much information, zero knowledge. You know, that's a lot of times like people just, yeah, taking in information, not getting knowledge. You know what I mean? Like you gotta, even when you take in information, you gotta like figure out if it's right for you. You know what I mean? Like you gotta try some stuff. Like I think, you know, the whole course, and there's been courses forever, but I think courses and a lot of other stuff, how to, you know, it's just got people to where they feel like someone needs to come along and show them exactly how to do it. And I'm like, that's not how the world works. You know, you take in information and you try some things, you know, and you learn from your failures and you learn from your successes, and like you just keep going. It's a matter of, these days it seems like it's more like, oh, if someone shows me how to do it, I'll do it, as opposed to like, this is what I want to do and I'm going to do it. And I feel like our ancestors were way more like, because they didn't have access to the information we have, so there was like no one to tell them. You know, every now and then there might be someone come along and help you out, but they were just like, oh, this is an idea, I'm gonna work on this idea until I figure it out, or I don't figure it out. That's life. You know, we kind of have this idea these days that, you know, there's a lot of entitlement, and I think people are just like, I want this and someone needs to show me how to do it or it's not fair. It's like, nah, you know, you're smart enough to figure it out. And like I say, I don't say that to diminish people or to demean people. I say it to empower people. Like, we're smart enough to figure this stuff out. You want to do something different, it's fine, it's okay, even if other people don't understand it. You know, you don't have to limit yourself because other people have limited themselves. And you're smart enough to figure it out over time. Or you just enjoy the process of trying to figure something out. You know, talk with some older people and they'll tell you about the things they tried that didn't work out. And there is not a sense of like regret, and there's no sense of just like, oh, I failed. They's like, oh no, I tried that one thing for whatever did not work. You know, yeah, you know, that one time I was married and I thought we were whatever, that one didn't work. You know what I mean? Like, I like talking with older people because this is a sense of like, this is what life's about. It's about pushing the envelope, like if you want to, you know? It's funny, all the sayings we have, think outside the box, push the envelope, they all involve something that you're trapped in on some level. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm just like, I don't like the fact that we limit ourselves. And then we think it's impossible simply because like we haven't done it. You know what I mean? There's lots of things we want to do that other people have done, but we think it's impossible for us. And it's just like, well, if someone else did it, why can't we do it? If someone else did it, we can't at least try. Now, if you try and you're like, yeah, that ain't me, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with trying something and be like, yeah, that's not really me. You know, I don't think that's my lane. I say that a lot. Yeah, I don't think that's my lane. But we just get stuck in this one lane, right? And we just just we just get stuck in this one lane, and we think like, you know what I mean? It's all we got. It's all we can do. It's like, no, it's a wide world out there with limitless opportunity. You know, there's opportunities that are going to present themselves in the next 5, 10, 15 years that we've never thought about because we're coming out with new technology. You know, so and I understand it's scary a lot of times when you see new technology and you see job loss and you see things shifting, things transitioning. But that also means new stuff is coming about too, new opportunities. And these are opportunities that nobody knows nothing about. You could be the first one. You could be the 15th one. You could be the 100th one. You know what I mean? The millionth one. It's still a new opportunity. And I think that's how we need to just look at the world, as always, like, if you want to. Like, if you're this type of person, if you're looking around and it just seems like you're not totally getting as much out of life as you want to be, if it doesn't seem like your life is where you want it to be or where you need it to be. And I think this is something personal that, like, no one else can tell us. A lot of times we look at other people's lives and we think, oh, that person's got it figured out and they got such an amazing life. But if you were to ask them, they might be like, you know, it might be a good life, but it might not be the life they want. You know what I mean? And I think if we're ever going through that, it's good to focus on the fact that, like, there are limitless opportunities for all of us. Not just some of us, not just, you know, the rich ones, the smart ones, the pretty ones. Now, are there opportunities that better lend themselves to the rich people? Yeah. To the smart people? Yeah. To the pretty people? Yeah. But guess what? There's opportunities that lend themselves better to all of us. That's just the way it works. But a lot of times we only focus on certain, once again, because of like the programming and the boxes we get put in, we only see the opportunities a lot of times for other people. And then we go, oh, I couldn't do that. You might could still. Just because it might lend itself to someone easier or better doesn't mean you can't do it too. But also, it's like there's opportunities that work better for me. There's opportunities that work better for you. There's opportunities that, like, at your education level, your intelligence level, just the way your brain works. You know what I mean? Like, we all have stuff that, like, when you were a kid, like, there were certain classes you were just better at than other people. Your brain just worked a certain way. You just do certain things. You know what I mean? Those are the areas we need to tap in. Find the things we're good at. Find the things we like. Find the things that bring us excitement. Tap into that. You know, we've got to the point where it's like, oh, how much money does it make? Well, who cares, right? You know what I mean? You know, it's just we look at opportunity. I feel like, and this is taught to us. You know, in school, everyone's like, hey, make good grades, you can get a good job. No one's ever like, hey, go to school and learn something so you can figure out, you know, how to enjoy your life. No one ever says that. So it's like, we just naturally look at stuff based around like the money and stuff. And so it's like, oh, we look at high paying jobs or businesses that pay a lot, and we try to go after those, but like, that might not be what we're trying to do. That might not be an area we excel. We might not enjoy that. We might suck at that. You know what I mean? As opposed to doubling down on our strengths, or like doubling down on the things that we like to do. It just seems very backwards. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right, just the way we go. I felt this my whole life. That, like, just the way we're doing it wasn't right. It's just, you know, now I've gotten older, I've kind of, you know, can put it into words. But my whole life, I always just kind of felt like something was off. I was always like, this isn't the way it's supposed to be. It's just, you know, when I was a kid, people thought I was very, like, I would say little stuff like that. And like, people like, but I couldn't really voice it. So, you know, if I'm like 10 and I'm like, this ain't the way it's supposed to be, people are like, what are you talking about? Eat your food. You know what I mean? Like, I was just always just had this idea of like, something's weird in the world. And I think it was just, I was just picking up on everybody, just a lot of people, I should say everybody, but a lot of people just going through the motions, right? A lot of people just doing what everybody else did and accepting that that's all they could do. Meanwhile, it's a huge world. It's a big planet. We got free will. You know, a lot of the stuff that people say they've always wanted to do, it's like, well, just go do it. Like, you know what I mean? Just do it. Like, what yeah, of course, is risk involved, and you know, it might not work out, and you know, you can end up in certain situations, but it's like, just go do it. Like, who cares? This thing ends. You know what I mean? Like, we really want to live our whole life like constrained and trapped in these boxes and, you know, pumpkin in the jug our whole entire life and then just die. You know what I mean? Like, there's all this opportunity. It's a huge world. There's a million things we can do. Do we really just want to do like 10? Most live people do about the same 10 things over and over again. And if that makes you happy, I'm not mad at that at all. I'm very much a creature of habit too. I just enjoy doing the same things in different places. That's my gig. But like most people just do the same 10 things over and over again. They go to work, they go to church, they go to their favorite restaurant, they go over to their grandma's house, you know. You mean like most of the people just do the same 10 things over and over again like their entire life. And it's like, there's nothing else. You don't ever want to switch it up. You don't want to add a 12th or a 13th or a 14th thing. You know, like just think about it. And once again, if that's where you've gotten your life and you're loving it, fine. But if while we're doing those 10 things, we're always dreaming about doing other stuff, why not go do the other stuff? Like, what do we have to lose? You know, some people thinking we're weird. Maybe you know, maybe a strain on our finances for a little bit. We're scared. We're nervous. Here's something too. Here's something too. A lot of anxiety in the world right now, and understandably, a lot of anxiety in the world, a lot of fear, and I understand why. Not saying it's justified, but I understand why. But here's my thing: if we're gonna be scared anyway, if we're gonna be shook anyway, why not do the stuff we want to do that scares us? You know, I just thought about that. If everybody's scared and everybody's shook and everybody's worried about the future already, why not go out there and do the stuff we've always wanted to do that scares us? We're already scared anyway. What's the difference? You know, people's like, oh, the world is over, it's ending. I'm like, well, why are you still getting up going to work then if you hate your job? If the world's over, if it's ending, if it's done, right? You know, like our actions don't map to our words. But yeah, if we already scared, if we already think this is it, it's over. If we're anxious 24/7, guess what? You can't get more anxious. Yeah, you probably could, but you know what I mean? Like, why not just go do the stuff that like you want to do, that you've always wanted to do, but you're scared to do, that actually will probably bring your anxiety down. Because what we're doing now, a lot of people, is not working. It's not working. People scared, people shook. You know, but we'll just keep doing those same 10 things, even though we know it is not working for us. We know it's making us miserable. We know we're not happy. We'll just keep doing them same 10, 15 things and just hoping that like magically one day it gets better. If we just elect the right person, it'll get better. People have been saying that their entire life. I don't want to get political, but people have been saying that their entire life. If we just could elect the right person, you know, if only, you know, bro, we're not talking about, I'm gonna start blocking y'all people who are talking about, we're not talking about that type of box. We're talking about, if you listen to the stream, instead of coming in with preconceived ideas, I'm gonna start blocking people talking about that. We're talking about the boxes we constrain ourselves to. We're adults here. We can listen to a conversation and figure out what's going on. There's always dudes too. There's always dudes. Women, respectful, they come in, we talk. The dudes come in with the foolishness. I'm sorry for the fellas who came in with no foolishness. It's just, you know, sometimes you be trying to be grown. This is why. This is why. This is why we have to have these conversations. You know what I mean? Because see, this example of a mindset, right? This example of a mindset. You get locked in a mindset, and then like, I don't know. Get locked in a mindset, certain things on your brain, Can't let it go. It's all you think about. You know, we make intriguing titles, so you have to come in and be like, what are they talking about? Okay, they're obviously talking about living your life, talking about expanding your horizons. Drew, thank you. Super Chat Squad, thank you, Drew. Said no fooling here, Tim. Keep preaching. I love the Professor Ward stream, classes in session. We here. I appreciate that, Drew. Thank you for the love. Yeah, I just like one of the just like the biggest lies we've been told is that we're powerless and that we are victims. And a lot of the feelings of powerlessness come from, you know, these boxes we put ourselves in, these limitations we put on ourselves. And we really feel like we can't do anything else. We really feel like we're trapped. Like we really feel like that. And a lot of times it's because of like financial situations. And that's why, you know, I wish we lived in a society that, you know, we didn't have, you know, you didn't have to make a certain amount of money to be able to live, you know. But one of the reasons I talk about abundance so much is I do believe that belief in abundance can help you out financially. You know, I think a lot of times we have limiting beliefs when it comes to finances, when it comes to money. You know, we start to believe that like we can only make as much money as the people we associate with. You know, everybody around us making this much, everybody around us complaining about rich get richer, the poor getting poorer. So I'm only gonna be able to make this much money. Even if we never have said that aloud, you start to think that. We start looking for jobs in that range. You know, if there's a job that maybe, oh, with that much money, I could never do that. Or if there's a certain position, you know, we start looking for jobs, certain positions. I'm only qualified for this because that's what they've told you. Those are the jobs everybody else around, you know, has us, around us has. It's all these things. And once again, I'm not excusing myself. I'm putting myself in here too. I see myself doing that a lot. Like certain stuff, I'm like, I don't know if I could. I'm like, why not, Tim? Why wouldn't you apply for that job? Of course you could do it. And if not, they could train you. They could teach you. You're smart enough to learn if they felt like giving you that position. But it's just like I'm trying to figure out where there's better sun. The sun is moving this way. And I didn't think. I guess we're okay. Sorry about the shadow today, folks. I promise it'll be better tomorrow. But yeah, you know, just I firmly believe that a lot of our financial situation comes from the fact that we've subconsciously told ourselves that that's all we could do. You know, we'll allow ourselves to make X amount a year, but anything more than that, we feel like either A, it'd be wrong because then we'd be wealthy and money's bad, or we just think, oh, people like me don't make that much. You know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of throughout our whole life. I think it manifests itself like relationships too. Oh, a person like that will never want me. You know, we might see a type of woman or type of man and just be like, you know, oh, man, that's what I really want. I want me a baddie, or I want that, or I want someone like this or someone like that. But then like, we don't believe someone like that would like us or be into us. A lot of that's because of television and movies and the coupling we've seen our entire life. That's another thing. People just kind of date the people that everyone says to date. You know what I mean? But like none of that's true. Like none of it's real. These are self-imposed limitations. These are self-imposed limitations. These are just thoughts. They're all just thoughts in our head. And like just we act on these thoughts because we believe they're truths. But like until you've really tried it, how do you know if anything is true? Right? How do we know anything is true until we've actually tried it? But we'll just, you know, just because everyone's told us our whole life, or, you know, the messaging from the advertising, from television, from movies, or maybe people on the internet have told us it's true, we'll believe it. It becomes a truth. And we'll never try it out. That's what I'm saying. Don't just think outside the box, leave the box behind entirely. Let go of the limitations. And we don't have to do it in every single aspect of our life, but like, I think we all know areas where we're like, I kind of want to do a little better in that area. I wouldn't mind improving in that area. I want to level up in that area. And I might be scared to do it because I don't think I can do it, or I don't think it's meant for me, or, something like that. But it's okay to just like try it. I mean, what's the worst gonna happen? What's the worst gonna happen? Your belief is, you find out your belief is real. There will be some things we try and we're like, oh yeah, that isn't for me. Now you know. And if someone comes along and says, why don't you do that? Just be like, I tried it, it's not for me. But I think there will be lots of things that like we'll try and we'll be pleasantly surprised when it works out. I think we'll also be pleasantly surprised at like what we learn along the way, either way. Life is about like experiences, like about doing stuff. Like this ideal of like finding your corner of the world and your comfort zone and staying in it forever. And like once you're, society tries to preach to you that like you need to have life figured out at 25, and then like you just find what you do and you do that for the rest of your life. That's what like the world wants you to do, because then they got you. If they can get you in just like one little pattern that you continue to do for the rest of your life, they got you, right? So we get this idea of like, oh, life is about finding my niche and just sticking with it. But it's like, no, like life, if you want it to be, can be constant exploration. It can be nonstop experiences. It could be learning. It could be growing, like your whole life. You see people like in their 90s still learning stuff, still taking classes, like it can be that. It can be exploration. You know what I mean? Like there's no rules on what life has to be, even within sometimes the financial constraints we have, which we're working on that. We're going to start working on that, folks, and not from an area of, one of the reasons I want to talk a little bit more about finances is just because like financial freedom is a form of freedom, and we try to get free. It's all about this whole discussion is about freedom. We're trying to get people free, because when you're free, you can do what you want and you can enjoy life. And that's why we're put here. I don't think we were put here to be enslaved in any way, shape, or form. We definitely weren't put here to be enslaved by our own minds. You know what I mean? There's so many layers. Like you got to unenslave from your own mind. You got to unenslave from the system. There's so many layers, but it starts with like us freeing ourselves from our own mind. But yeah, I definitely think financial freedom is one, and it's one of the bigger freedoms that's usually what stops so many people from getting free in other areas of their life. They just automatically assume, even if it has nothing to do with money, that's the one they first focus on. But what about the money? It's like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about, dating or whatever it is. You notice this? Whatever topic you talk about and try to have like a reasonable discussion about it, people always bring up money. Talk about dating. Oh, women only want a man with money. We're just, it always comes back to like money. Ty, how you doing? Thank you. Super Chat Squad, thank you. Says slowly but surely breaking away from the social norms. Hey, that's the way to do it. I appreciate the love, my brother. Thank you. And that's the thing. It's not always it's not a quick process, because like it took, say you're 40 years old, you got 40 years of programming telling you to live a certain way. So, you're not gonna in 4 days break out of that. It might take, now I think deprogramming is quicker than programming, or you can accelerate the deprogramming, right? Because I think once we start to see what's going on, the programming starts to break away, because like the programming is on top of like the truth. So the truth is there. So I think it's quicker to deprogram ourselves, because like we're just getting rid of the programming we're getting back to the truth. You know what I mean? So it's almost not, it's almost, yeah, we're just deprogramming ourselves. I think it's way quicker, because the truth starts to break through, but yeah, if you got 40 years of believing a certain way, it takes a while to get back to, to truth, to start really seeing it differently and believing differently. But that's okay. Like, once again, it's a process. And it's cool too because other people, if it happened instantaneously, it probably wouldn't be as helpful to the people around us, right? But as like we grow and as we change and as like you're breaking free from societal norms, there'll be people watching, right? And if since it's a process, they can see the whole process. And it's cool when those people, 5 years from now, like, hey, bruh, I've been watching what you're doing, and I gotta say in the beginning, I didn't know what you was talking about. I thought you was crazy, but now I see what you're doing now. I see where you're at in your life, and I'm like, I'm trying to follow suit, you know. So keep going, my brother. And I appreciate the love. Thank you, thank you. By the way, we're almost at 100 likes. Yes, 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 yes. This is a live video. This is a live stream, I should say. It's not pre-recorded. So yeah, I enjoy. This morning I was like, man, I'm getting up. Hey, Natural Magic Life. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Super Chat Squad. I appreciate the love. Thank you. First Super Chat. Thank you, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being part of this community. I appreciate that love. And with the likes just went over 100. Oh man, it's abundance. It's abundance. It's abundance. I said I'm going to start making a point to in every stream, just make sure I mention abundance. I usually do naturally, but I said we got to mention gratitude. We got to mention abundance. So it's looking abundant right now, folks. I appreciate that. Um, Freedom. That's what it's about. And I've been hearing more and more people say recently, I'm feeling trapped, right? More and more people, I'm just feeling trapped. I'm feeling caged in. That's how we know there's a problem. You should not feel trapped and caged in if you're not trapped and caged in. You know what I mean? Like if you're not physically trapped and caged in, you shouldn't feel that way. That's how we know there's a problem. And to anyone feeling that way, I think we gotta kind of like Shawshank it. You know what I mean? Like you just gotta be like, okay, something has got me trapped and feeling trapped and caged in. And if it's the forces, outside of my control, I just gotta figure out a way to break free. You know what I mean? Now, sometimes it's us and we can do it. But like if it is something greater than us, this is the system, society, okay, how can I break free? They're not just gonna open this cell up and let me out. How can I break free? How can I Shawshank this thing? You know what I mean? And that becomes the goal. Take a little time, wallow, don't wallow in the funk, but you can be in a funk for a little bit, But then it's like, okay, how are we gonna dig our way up out of this? How are we gonna break through these walls? How are we gonna escape from Alcatraz? Because they not trying to let me up out of here, but I'm getting up out of here. I promise you 5 years from now, I won't feel trapped in life, no matter what's going on in the world. And we can resolve things like that. Like we're powerful. I'll tell you, one of the biggest things we've been told is that we have no power. The human mind is probably one of the most powerful things in the universe. Everything else around us just does what it does. As far as we know, we're the only ones that can sit and contemplate and decide what we want to do. We're not animals, we're not trees. We're not any of these other life forms that just kind of go through life just on a set course. We don't have to do that. Sadly, a lot of times we go through life on a set course though, when we don't have to. We don't have to. You can do whatever you want. Like, I think this is something, I think that's a very powerful saying, folks. I would recommend just saying it aloud, like right now. I can do whatever I want. Or the next time, like you're just feeling like trapped and, just not, you know what I mean? I can do whatever I want. This tree is really annoying me because of the sun. But do I want to go sit on that bench? Yeah, y'all know how I get about the sun. I've been here this long, we'll stay. But just saying, I can do whatever I want. And pondering on that. Now, you may not do the stuff. Some of the stuff you could do would have, lead to bad consequences. But you literally can do whatever you want. You can get up right now if you're at work and punch your boss in the face if you wanted to. You can do it, you know what I mean? You can do whatever you want. And the reason I say that is not to think about all the crazy stuff we would like to do in life. But just to realize, like, the reason we don't do a lot of the things we could do, are they good reasons? You know what I mean? We got free will. We can do whatever we want. We don't do lots of things in life because like they're illegal. They would get us in trouble. It'd be morally wrong, blah, 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 blah. But there's a lot of things in life we don't do that we really want to do that are not illegal and wouldn't bother nobody. They aren't morally wrong and they might actually be helpful to us. And we don't do them for bad reasons. Like we don't have a good reason. A lot of stuff we don't do, we don't have a good reason not to do it. I think it's very powerful to just like, you know, realize I can do whatever I want. So if I'm not doing certain things, why am I not doing them? A lot of times it's fear. You know, a lot of times we're scared, understandable. We can do it scared. That's the thing too. We can do whatever we want and we can do it scared. There's no law that says, oh, if you're scared, you can't do it. No, you can still do it. But I think it's just good to ponder our power. I think it's good to ponder our power because a lot of times we ponder our weaknesses. We wallow in our weaknesses. All we do is talk about what we can't do, what we don't have, all this other stuff. Very rarely do we ponder our power and realize we can do whatever we want to do. We just don't do it. And then it also becomes, then it makes us have to like analyze. Because you're like, if you really believe like, yeah, I can do whatever I want, then you're going to ask yourself, well, why aren't we doing it? And then you got to be real with yourself. Well, Tim, if you can do whatever you want, why haven't you done it? I do this a lot. And I'd be like, yeah, I just I haven't done it yet. You right. You right, Tim. You right, Tim. It's us. We just haven't done it. I can't blame some stuff. There's outside influences. Some stuff's just me. I just haven't done it. I am limiting myself in this situation. And typically those situations, eventually I get around to doing it because I don't like that feeling. I don't like that feeling of knowing it's me. Now, sometimes it's not the right time, things of that nature. But like, nah. I don't like that feeling of I could do something and I want to do something and I don't do something just because like I'm scared or like I just don't think I can do it for whatever reason. That's me being stuck in a box. Forget that box. Burn that box. Let's get up out of here. We're not doing that. So that is my message for this morning. Like I said, all that sprang from watching a baby on the bus speak Spanish and listen to some Earl Nightingale last night. So yeah, that was on my heart this morning. And I said, I want to get up and find a good spot and hopefully the wind isn't blowing too hard and we can sit and talk about it. Not to mention the Airbnb I'm staying. Is that a plane? Somebody's gonna be like chemtrails. The Airbnb I'm staying in, they're redoing the windows. So I left early yesterday because they were in there and they didn't finish. So they got to come into the room I'm in and do the windows today. So yeah, I have to stay out all day. So I got up early and I was like, yeah, let me come here to the park and just sit, talk for a little bit, discuss this situation. Retire and Go's channel is inspiring. Retire and Go, that's a great channel. Great channel. So this is my new format I'm doing, ladies and gentlemen, where when I do my talk, I'm gonna try this out. Cause sometimes if I talk for like 2 hours, some people won't tune in. And even though this one is gone 48 minutes, I'm gonna stop it here. I'm gonna take a little break and then I'm gonna come right back. And that'll be a separate stream that we're just gonna do Q&A. So if you want to stick around and do some Q&A and talk, we can do that. But I'm going to stop this one just so it's a little shorter, so that maybe some people who don't like the 3-hour streams can tap in and watch it. So love y'all. Talk to y'all later.